Great. Good. All right. Well, welcome everyone. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Do we need motions for each of these, or?
We won't do motions until the election, so let's just start with introductions and get our new members official.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, certainly want to hear kind of everyone's background and what you'd like to try to accomplish on the board, or maybe what drew you to it. So we'll start on this end.
Certainly. My name is Sharon Johnston. I've lived in Belmont 10 years, and I've always believed it would be a great fit for being an environmentally friendly city. It's something that I've always wanted to see happen, so I've been very excited to see that growing every year, and it just seems to be more and more going on. My background, I'm just very passionate about the environment. I wrote a book in 2014 about change. My background is organizational change, and so I transferred that into personal change, and so it was about really living a life in harmony with nature and how beneficial that can be from many different ways. So that's really just a personal passion. Very keen to see alignment in terms of getting rid of single-use plastic, protecting our tree coverage, recognizing trees as being as important as our historic buildings. Oh gosh, the list is so many things we can do, but I think we're really, it's fantastic what has been achieved, and I think there's a lot of good stuff still we can do too.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, Rob?
Hello everybody, Rob Wheelheight. I may be the newcomer to Belmont. I've only been here 3 months, so so thank you for allowing me to join the board in such short time that I've been here. My wife and I have fallen in love with Belmont. My kids are adults, they live out of the house. In fact, my daughter's getting married in 3 weeks. So
congrats.
So we're here to stay for a long time, I hope. I am an energy consultant. I've been in the energy industry for 34 years, mostly on the power side, but also on the natural gas side of the business. And my firm is Navigant Consulting. We do a lot around sustainability. We help utilities and other clients with decarbonizing their supply chains and their electric vehicle, converting to electric vehicles from fossil fueled fleets. And so that's a passion of mine. I like to work in areas where we can use electricity, especially as a means of taking carbon out of the atmosphere. And so I'm delighted to be here. I'll bring the energy and sustainability focus. And by the way, I've worked a lot over the years with Duke Energy. I know how power companies think, so to the extent that we interface with power companies or gas companies, I can bring that expertise. So. Thanks. Awesome. Delighted to be here.
Happy to have you. Yes.
Hi, I'm Grace Nearing. I'm not quite as impressive as them. I'm a student at South Point High School, so don't have that much experience. But I'm involved in an environmental club at school, and I'm passionate about making sure we can sustain our environment, maintaining our tree coverage, increasing recycling, even if everyone isn't willing to get rid of using plastic and things like that, and just making sure we can do everything we need to do within our environment. So
that's great. All right, and I'm Jennifer Fortenberry. So I've been in Belmont about 2 years now. I'm also in the energy and sustainability consulting space. So I work for JLL, and within JLL's real estate firm, our group focuses specifically on how to operate buildings better. So mostly built environment, energy efficiency, and some renewables as well.
Okay.
So we can chat offline.
Yeah. The net zero energy target.
We wish we had more people working that way, but
exactly.
some are for
That's
sure.
Great.
Yeah. So, and background is environmental engineering as well. So I think similar, passionate about a lot of things, but have a relatively newborn baby as well. So work-life balance has been a struggle so far. So.
Yeah. Hi everybody. My name is Doug. I'm from New Jersey, beautiful state, and I'm a degreed and licensed electrical engineer. Practicing for 12 or 13 or 14 years, I don't know. Worked on a lot on power and controls, I was in the Peace Corps for about 2.5 years in East Africa. I was a science and math teacher, and I also worked on a desalination plant, one of the islands, 1,000 liters per day we're able to do. And then I worked for a nuclear power plant, or plants, for about 4 years. Very clean energy. You got to make sure it's very safe though. So I worked doing electrical modifications, keep them efficient, and safety mitigation. And then I was a forensic engineer for a little bit, and now I'm working with a company called Atom Power. And
Oh, I know Ryan Kennedy.
so funny. And this is my favorite job. My heart really aligns with the environment, being energy sustainable, not wasting anything. A couple things that I think about, in that space, being sustainable, is like recycling correctly. Making sure that when we recycle things that can actually be recycled, it doesn't get dumped. I mean, you hear stories all the time that, it's almost a facade. Sometimes I bring things home and to-go package, and I throw them away, and I have all this garbage afterwards. I think it would be neat to kind of start a movement where you bring your own containers to a restaurant, something like that. I'm interested in making our water clean and not wasting water. These are things that I'm passionate about. So I'm also in energy sustainable area, and think this is going to be a good group from what I see. Nice meeting you all.
Hi everyone. I'm Danielle Clark. I've lived in Belmont with my husband for almost 2 years as well. I was appointed in November, so I still feel like a little bit of a newbie. I have a degree in environmental science, so I've been working in the industry in various different areas since 2012. I currently work for Hart and Hickman in Charlotte, which is an environmental engineering consulting firm. So when I interviewed for the board, I was really excited about just kind of sharing my education and professional skills in environmental science with the community that I love.
Well, you guys are all far more impressive than I am. My name is Becky Carpenter, and I also joined in November, so I also still feel like the newbie, but I guess I'll have to get over that. I work for Wells Fargo, doing nothing related to environmental sustainability, but kind of as a part of what I do on the side with Wells Fargo's communications chair for their green team, which is regional and an enterprise level group that connects team members who are interested in environmental sustainability, and we try to give them resources, tools, connections to make differences across Wells Fargo and their communities. So I'm the communications chair for the Charlotte region and also the enterprise chapter. And I am passionate about it. I hear so many awesome stories of things that have been done across the country and even across Charlotte, and I've lived here for a couple of years, love this town, and I want to be a part of what's happening here too. So.
I'm Jamie. I am the staff liaison for this board, so I'm very excited because listening to what everybody has to offer is extremely exciting, because I think there's a lot more that we can do. And I really want you all to feel like this is your initiatives. I don't ever want it to feel like, we're pushing this, y'all go do the work. We want you guys to have these ideas and bring new innovative things to the table that we can see what can we do? Realistically, what can we do? How are we going to go about it? And let's make some changes. And I'm very excited for this group right now. So yeah, I'm Jamie. I work in the planning and zoning department. Probably should have tossed that out there as well. So I guess kind of just moving forward, we're going to swear in our new members so we can go somewhere where everybody can reach this, and we'll do it at one time.
Just gather around.
Put our hands in.
Just gather around. Go team. Okay. So let's see. Does it help if you guys look at it, or you? we'll just
Do we
share.
have to read it?
Yes. It'll be like a repeat after me type thing. So when it comes to the name part, we'll state your name. So we'll just go, we'll start at Doug and then state your name and then we'll all continue together. Does that make sense?
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay.
So raise your right hand and if you can't reach it, there, yeah.
What's your name?
That's good enough.
Okay, there we go. So if you repeat after me, I
I,
state your name,
Douglas Ehlers,
Grace Nearing,
Rob Wheelheight?
Sharon Johnston,
do solemnly swear
do
solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the
Constitution
Constitution
and
and
laws
of the United States
of
the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and
and
the
the
Constitution
Constitution
and
and
of
laws
laws
North Carolina,
of
North
North Carolina,
Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not
not
inconsistent
inconsistent
therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and
and
that I will faithfully
the
discharge
duties of my office
the
the
duties of my office
as an environmental sustainability board member.
as an environmental sustainability board member.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Awesome, everybody, welcome. Okay, now let's get these in the right order.
Sharon,
This is yours.
Oh, I wanted to change it.
So I'll just sign on that top line, and then we're just gonna keep these on record. Welcome to the board.
Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, of course.
Yes, you can, Max. Are you signing above that in the other line?
Yes.
Okay.
I was like, I should bring a notebook. Never mind, that'll be too extra.
Okay. So the next part, elect chair and vice chair. Currently, Jennifer is serving as our vice chair. Do you want to give kind of like an overview of vice chair duties?
Yeah, so essentially vice chair is pretty much kind of a substitute or backfill if the chair is ever absent to, to lead the meetings, call the meetings to order, make sure we adopt the minutes, set our agendas. In all honesty, Jamie does a lot of the work. If you're familiar with any other nonprofit boards, I feel like I was familiar with the board chair really doing a lot of the administrative work of getting the agenda set out. We're very lucky to have Jamie to do a lot of that for us. And our previous chair, I think, has stepped down as her term ended
Yes, her
as
term
well.
is over.
So,
and she's not coming today, right?
No.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and then, so chair responsibilities really, you're leading the meetings, kind of acting as that spokesperson for the board if ever needed. I know she's gone to several city council meetings to kind of speak on what this board is working on and giving updates, or she would speak at the Arbor Day Festival, kind of like a thank you to everybody who's participated and helped and sponsored, that kind of thing. So before we can move forward, we need to do elections for a chair and vice chair. I think it'd be best to start with chair. We would just open the floor for nominations and, nominate here, second the nomination, and then we can just kind of go that way.
All right. I nominate Becky.
I reject your nomination. I nominate Jennifer for the chair role.
Do you accept?
Yeah.
Do you need
I
a
think-
second?
It's like, yeah,
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay. Anybody else want to nominate? Self-nominate? All right.
Yeah, I'm certainly open if anyone wants to take it on, but I think I've been on the board for about a year and a half
I think it's a
now.
good idea.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
I'm sure that experience has served you well, so that's good.
All right, so I guess we would just do it's kind of weird having you do your own motion. Let's see.
Yeah.
What is the right word? I can't send a motion, I'm not a member, so.
No, Becky.
Move to.
I move to place Jennifer Fortenberry
Yes.
as chair of this committee.
Yes.
A second? Do we have to afterwards, after second, I don't know if you have the third, but then you ask if there's any objections to it? Is that the way that this is?
Yeah, so we'll
Oh,
just do motion, second, and then all those in favor,
Okay.
anybody against, and we'll just go from there. We'll keep it simple.
Good.
So all those in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Okay, well, Jennifer now is our chair. I will let you do the vice chair.
There we go. All right, so looking for a strong vice chair, which in all honesty, I think I may have had to step in and lead maybe 1-2 meetings max. So it's really just more if you're, planning on being present, and if in any case I can't make a meeting, so.
I nominate Rob.
Well, I can say I would accept, and Jamie, as soon as you sent me these dates, they went immediately on my calendar, so I could
good.
schedule a lot of other stuff around it, because I do travel most weeks, but I will do my best to make a commitment to be here.
Okay.
It's my intent.
Awesome. Second
What do we
one.
need, 4 for a quorum? 4 or 5? 4?
5?
4
4.
right now.
4.
Okay.
Yes.
Second?
Okay.
All right.
All right, all in favor? Sure.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, any objections? All right, wonderful.
Moving along.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Okay,
Pleasure.
so with that, I just need a motion to set our agenda here as printed in front of us. So, can I get a motion?
I motion to set the
Y'all are doing great.
These can go pretty quick as well.
Yeah, it's going.
All right.
Did we get a second?
Second?
All right.
Okay,
All in favor?
yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Okay. And similarly for our previous, which was our May board minutes, which are attached here.
The shortest minutes we've ever had.
Yeah, short meeting.
Do these ultimately go on the website, Jamie?
Yes, yes they do.
Okay.
Okay. So,
I would
That's
assume
good.
that since I was not on the board at the time, I would have to abstain, and I can't really approve them.
Without our new members though, we'd only have 3 members.
Oh,
So yeah, I think it's okay to have everybody
Okay.
vote on them.
Okay. Yeah, so that said, I don't see any need for revisions, so, can I set the first motion, or I always have to ask for it?
I would entertain the motion and then let somebody move it and then somebody second it.
Okay.
I
So,
think that's right.
is there a motion to adopt our minutes? Motion to adopt.
A second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
all right.
Awesome. Okay, so to Rob's question, yes, whenever I send the links out for the agendas, if you click on that link, it'll take you to a portal, and that has all of the agendas, all of the minutes, and the live recordings of all of the meetings for the city.
Okay.
So if you would like, next week, I'm happy to put, or next month, I can add something to our agenda that kind of shows how to use that portal, if that's something you all are interested in. We previously talked about making these meetings paperless and not doing the agendas, but I felt like I didn't want to just not give you an agenda for the first time. So if that's something you all are interested in, we can have that discussion now, and we can talk about what it would look like moving these to just completely paperless meetings.
I mean, if we had like a PDF and like we could write over top of it on like an iPad or something
Yeah.
and use that.
Yep.
I always use
That's
this.
leading the way, isn't it? Yeah.
And I guess another thing to follow along, if we could use one of these screens.
Yes, we can,
That's what I
yeah,
was gonna ask.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
we've done that
That'd
for
be
other meetings as well.
yes,
Might as well walk the talk.
yeah. Set the example.
Exactly.
Yeah, right?
Okay, so I will add to our agenda for next month an overview on how to use the system. I'll get you all inputted in and accounts set up, and then we will set the example with being the paperless.
Oh, that'd be great.
I like
That's
it.
great. I try to do that at work now, too.
Yeah, I wish we could do that. We have so much paper. Okay, so with our new members, I really wanted to do an overview of what the ESB has done in this past year and kind of the progress of where we are on a lot of the initiatives that we started. So Bee City USA, this was approved. So City Council adopted the resolution to become a Bee City USA this past month. Actually, it's July, so like a week ago.
Nice.
All of our Application requirements have been sent in. Really, all we need to do now is just pay the application fee, which is going to be done sometime this week. With vacations, we've kind of all been all over the place and getting our ducks in a row, but B-City USA is a go. With that, I don't know, y'all were here when we started this conversation, so requirements for being and maintaining the B-City USA status is going to be an event that kind of goes around pollinators. We talked about tying that in with our yearly Arbor Day, Earth Day Festival. We're going to create a web page, and then one of the things that we had to do to get this designation was create an integrated pest management program. So the city council also adopted that with this resolution, and that's going to be something that's kind of new to our staff. The cool thing about that program was nothing really had to be changed. We had to change a couple products that our current pest management company uses to kind of be in line with this new program. But then the biggest thing with that program is kind of notification. So typically they would just kind of go to the parks, do what they have to do, and it would, pesticides are there. Part of this program states that they have to properly notify citizens it's going to be posted. So, 3 days before you should see a poster saying this area is going to be sprayed on this date, please use caution, please take care for 24 hours after. And that's how it's going to be kind of throughout the city, and kind of just setting a standard of what we expect when people use pesticides throughout the area. So that's the big B-City USA update. Do y'all have any questions on that?
So we are still using pesticides, but just being more careful in their use, is that?
Yes, being more careful in their use, and I can get a list and send y'all what is actually approved on the chemical page.
So we're not actually using integrated pest management, are we? Or are we just?
Yeah, maybe.
Were they
Maybe.
using?
So when you say the list of approved chemicals, who puts out that list?
So in this, in the document that we created, we worked with the person who is currently doing all of the services, Public Works, and then B-City headquarters representatives, I guess you could say. So I'll email that all to you so you can kind of see what's in the integrated pest management program. Yeah, it's a very basic program that we just kind of went off of with the help of B-City. And it's supposed to be, like a live document that we update every year. And all B-City things will come to this board.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get that to y'all tomorrow.
And you mentioned, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You mentioned a website. Is that something that's being developed for residents to understand the designation? And
Yes.
who's going to
and
develop
it'll just,
that?
it'll just be a page on the City of Belmont's
the city,
website.
okay.
Mhm.
So assuming the application's approved, does that entitle the city to use some type of logo in its
Yes.
advertising or something? Is that,
Yes, they'll
and it
send
can
us
go on the
a
website or
A
something?
full package,
Okay.
yes.
Nice.
So, remind me, Jamie, in our application, did we include any kind of like proactive outreach to residents to like make them aware of this and what they can do to, kind of?
I think that'll be more on like that'll be our task,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Yeah, because the whole thing of the wildflower gardens, and that's where I've moved less lawns, removing pesticides, that would be great as an outreach to extend, not just that it's a designation and the city's doing it, but we really want to get everybody involved
Yes.
in that. So that
So yes, I think there's a lot that we can really do with this. So I'll send you all the application. We should have everything finalized this week, and then be good to move forward with new initiatives for it.
I'm just curious,
Yeah.
Daniel Stowe Botanical Gardens is outside the city limits, is it? Or-
Technically, I think they're in our
Think
ETJ.
Because that's past down where I live.
Yeah.
Okay, because I wonder if they would have an interest in this designation, once it's approved. And whether or not they themselves
Yeah.
may have gone through the same process. I don't know.
They might qualify, but there's a thing called Bee Campus. So I don't know if, because technically they're in Belmont City. I mean, they're not within our city limits, but they have the Belmont address. So this designation, I guess, would kind of qualify and include them. But yeah, that's an interesting point, and we could probably reach out to them and see how we could partner
Sure.
with them. That would be great.
Yeah, because I think there's also like a wildflower highway or something that you can get individual, so I don't know if the garden is registered for that, and then individual people can actually register, so it'd be a nice challenge to see how many, it's just a nice complementary thing to creating bee habitat.
You said it was called the Wildflower Highway?
I believe that's the name. I can double check the name of it. But,
If you could look into that and
yeah,
share
it's
it with
actually
us,
like
that'd be
a
awesome.
certification that individuals can get, and then they get added to a map, of, and the idea is to get more and more people to piece together the map.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Any other Bee City questions? I'll send y'all the information that I have on it tomorrow. Kind of keep you updated along the way. Awesome. So the tree ordinance update. We received our grant.
Nice.
So we got a call last week right before 4th of July. For our new members, we, as the city, applied for a grant, and you've all got a copy of it in your binders. It's like the North Carolina Urban Forestry something grant. So our grant was approved, and this was mainly to help us with updating our tree ordinance. So I gave you all a copy to kind of see what I think I did. No, I was just like, oh gosh, what is that? So yeah, it includes the proposals from the companies that we had to ask about updating the ordinance. So Shelley and I are going to meet. Shelley's my director for our new members. We're going to meet next week to kind of get a work plan together. We're still waiting on the contract from the forestry group, but we have a timeline, and that's included in this grant for you all to kind of just check over it. We have a timeline of things that we need to stick to in order to get all of this done. So we're gonna meet next week, create our work plan, and then I will share that work plan with you all, because a lot of it does include this group helping. So we're gonna be doing kind of outreach programs and getting more information from the residents about what their perception is on our tree canopy, what their perception is on our current ordinance, how it's working, is it not working, or do you not think it's working, and kind of really engage the public in getting our ordinance tightened up if it needs to be, or leaving it as it is, or kind of just working with that consultant. But you'll see in that grant the different dates that we've highlighted, and the different goals that we need to reach in order to kind of fulfill our obligation. And then Grace, there is a part for working with the South Point High School students, and doing public service announcements and creating marketing pieces that kind of cater to all ages. So if you could take a look at that whenever you get a chance, and kind of just brainstorm ideas on what works best with students now. Because I know in the past, I think they did like a YouTube video competition. Is that still something that students are going to participate in today, or is there something else that we can kind of use? Yeah.
I'll take a look at it.
There's a lot of ideas I think that can be done, but yeah, it's just going to take a lot of creativity from all of us and doing the fun side of it. The technical stuff with the ordinance rewrites and kind of all of that, not too
We can always
worried
do
about
like
that.
a poster thing,
Yes.
where you or even like online graphic designing for people to do.
I think that
things
is
like
honestly taking a big, is getting bigger. It's the graphic design, the poster contest. We had a lot of participation in our art contest this past year. So yeah, anything like that, we just kind of got to think outside the box and really get all ages involved in this project. So, like I said, we've got a lot of work coming for us this year.
And if that's during the school year, we can probably run it, the school has announcements that's like student run, so I can probably talk to them
Perfect.
and get some sort of thing out.
That is what we need.
Okay.
Perfect. So the next thing that we've been working on is the Treasure Tree program. I'll just kind of take one down, pass it around. Danielle has really helped us with this program. With the change of all the members and kind of what was done, a month ago, half that board is no longer here. So we're kind of just starting fresh. So I kind of wanted to just give this to everybody to take home, read, jot down your thoughts about it, and then we can really talk about it at the next meeting. We've talked about shortening it, what parts need to stay, what parts need to go. This is the most recent version that we've come up with. So kind of just take it home. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me. I'm a lot quicker on email than I am to the phone call because, you know, one line will ring, the next line will ring while I'm on the other line, and I just email me. I will get back to your emails, I promise. And then the tree maintenance guide was something that we talked about at our last meeting as well. We had interest from a resident wanting some type of resource that outlines the proper way to maintain different types of trees and where they are. So we kind of looked into it a little bit more and noticed that a lot of other organizations have already done these resource guides. So on our website, we have an environmental sustainability page website on the city's website. I've gone ahead and just linked those already existing resource guides to our page. So we're kind of not going to take that on as a new project because it's already been done. So we're just going to act as the resource, share that knowledge, and if anybody has questions, we can just kind of keep pointing them in the right direction. But I know Duke had one, the forestry group had one, so I was like, oh, here's your information. So yes, and then the recycling campaign. Here we go. So the recycling campaign. Right now, staff is working on scheduling a meeting between Waste Pro. I believe we have a new contact person. So we're going to be doing a meeting with Waste Pro, Public Works, and Keep Belmont Beautiful, and then some of the administrative staff to really talk about what can this group do and how can we help in a realistic way as far as contamination. Last year, a Waste Pro representative spoke with the board about our contamination numbers being extremely high, and that's what's kind of ruining our recycling program. Other cities have been getting charged what they're calling contamination fees. Luckily, we haven't been in that group because we do have a lot of contamination, but our staff is really adamant about reducing the contamination of the overall recycling program so that we can keep it, as opposed to just doing away with it or limiting the amount of items that we take or what kind of items we're allowed to take. So that is kind of like this big task that we've been given, but before like just saying, okay, here's what we're going to do, I wanted to do a meeting with staff, Waste Pro, Keep Belmont, to kind of just get the idea, like, what can we realistically do? Because I don't want us to sit around and like give all these awesome ideas and then it's not going to make a difference, that type of deal. So we're going to have that meeting. It's scheduled for next week sometime, so I'll have a better update for next month's meeting. But I still wanted to do an update on what we have done for the recycling and what we probably can continue to do. So we did this Crayola recycling campaign last year, and it started as a pilot program at Page Primary. It's a really neat program. It's run by Crayola. All we really had to do was get bins and stickers. And these bins were placed into the classrooms, and it was to recycle like dry erase markers, Crayola markers, anything that's not like a typical paper product, bottle product. It was really for pens, markers to be recycled in the classroom. Everything in those boxes gets put into one larger box, and then somebody at the school prints off a shipping label, and it's free. It's no charge to the school. All we really did was kind of just provide the outlet for them to do it. So my question to you all is, do we want to continue growing this program? Because I think it's something that we can definitely continue with, and it's not really contingent upon this recycling contamination discussion that we're going to be doing.
How was it received by the teachers and the students? Did they
seem
provide
to really
feedback
enjoy
on
it. Yeah, they seem to really enjoy it. We did want to do a follow-up with the principal, but when we reached out to them, they were kind of going through a big...
A real?
Yeah, it was a bad time, I guess. They were very busy, so we can reach out again. I think this is a good kind of time to get it all together since it is the summer. And when we did that program, we were able to do it for like the second half of the year. So I'd kind of be interested to see if we were able to get all of our ducks in a row, give them what they need at the start of the year, and incorporate it as an overall program.
It's only in one school right now?
Right now, it's only in
Okay.
primary school, yes.
I guess we haven't done any outreach to any other schools yet to even see if they're open to this.
I don't remember correctly, we just provided bins with stickers on them.
Yep.
And then instructions, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It was so it was us just giving them the tools to really
It sounds like minimal effort with, a good effect, and then, if nothing else, it kind of builds up a repetition of, certain things go in certain areas to be recycled.
Yeah.
So,
And when
I
we
would
talked
say-
with them, because we had a meeting with the principal, which is something we could probably schedule again, the students were already being exposed to recycle bins in the classrooms, just not specific, like they weren't getting, this is for the markers, everything else goes in here. So I think it could kind of help as well if we kind of show them what, like, it's the whole contamination thing, it's starting them at a young age, and really, even if we wanted to like add, we give them laminated posters that say, this is what goes in this bin, put your crayons in this bin, something like that. Anything that can kind of help getting the idea of contamination from a young age.
So I think a lot of the change agents are actually, the middle school, high school kids now. It's a very conscious age, more so than my generation. They're a lot more environmentally conscious. So I think that you started with a subset, and I think it's actually would be able to snowball into, other things, whether it's toothpaste tubes or all of the other things that can actually be sent back. So different ages, different targets, and then it gets taken back into the home, and later, we can always, have citywide, like drop-offs for these things and then partner with the program. So I think it's a great pilot for a much bigger initiative. So different, if this is a structured program, you said that, who ran it?
Crayola.
Yeah, then we can model, other ones on that, so I think it's a great thing.
I can send y'all the link. So Crayola already has a great way of like breaking down how it works, what it is. So I'll send that to y'all to kind of get
because we can replicate that. If
There is
other
something
programs-
mentioned on the website, if I recall correctly. right? Okay.
Yes.
And Jamie, I'm not aware of contamination. Does Waste Pro identify sources of contamination in our recycling? Do we know where it comes from? How do we stop it?
Can they at least give us an idea of like what particular things are causing the contamination? Like if everyone's putting in other stuff? Okay.
Yes, so great questions. I don't think they were really able to tell us like who was doing what. They were just, it was more of like our biggest problem are the plastic bags. And they were really just like kind of weird ticket items in my opinion. So it was like grease, like car parts, VHS movies. It was like these crazy items that like I would never have known about that, but the plastic bags resonated with me because I've definitely thrown plastic bags and didn't even realize that those were recyclable. So hopefully we can get a better list of what, because when we asked, it wasn't even really what they've seen in Belmont, it was what they were seeing everywhere. So hopefully at this meeting we can get a better list of like what are our residents doing and what can we do to help you, Waste Pro, in this contamination problem.
I mean, I have to admit, as a new resident, I have to go back to the list of things you can recycle and what you can't.
Yes.
And remind myself, okay, don't put those
And that
Paracetamol
actually,
bags in there.
yeah, that goes to the recycling bin stickers. Something we've talked about are these stickers that you can put on the recycling bins at home. They're kind of like a, wait, no, don't throw this in there.
Right.
Yes, this is okay. So we've kind of been looking into that, and staff has said we're all about it. We just need a design and cost estimates of how it's going to work out. That's something we want to toss to Waste Pro as well because they have stickers. We've seen them. So kind of like what would it take to just get those stickers out to our residents? Other things we've seen that aren't necessarily stickers are postcards that are mailed out to all the residents, and kind of like a friendly reminder, these don't go in the recycling bin, that kind of thing. So that was the recycling bin sticker.
Okay.
It has been talked about. Currently our intern is working on a design, so that's exciting. But then I just kind of went to other ideas. So I know we'll really get more into this discussion next month, hopefully with all the information we can get out of them at the meeting next week. But kind of want to just toss this out to y'all. What do y'all see in your own houses, as your friends? What do you think the problem is, and what do you think we really need to focus on, and what do you want me to bring to this meeting next week?
I think for some history, I think there have been several conversations in the past around, we've been trying to get waste data from Waste Pro, because we want to be able to track what is our overall diversion rate, and then benchmark how does that compare to other cities, and then can we actually set a goal and then be tracking our progress to it. And I think that's always been a challenge, and that they've never provided the data. So remind me, Jamie, is it in their contract that they have to, or they're supposed to?
I'd have to check.
Okay, I think
Speaking
that.
of their contract, that it does end next year.
Okay.
An opportunity to put something like that in the
Right.
contract, maybe.
Yeah, so I mean, it may be worth bringing up with them now. If it's not in their contract currently, can they do it? I'm guessing they would charge more, but, what's the cost to do it?
Okay.
Well, it sounds like they're already measuring the degree of contamination. It sounds like they have the capability to actually measure it in some way. And so it doesn't seem like that'd be a stretch to ask them to give us that data.
Yeah, I want to know how it's being measured now.
Yeah, they have to have some way of knowing, there's a certain amount of contamination in the load to where they can't actually recycle it. So what is that metric?
And I think they sell it to someone, right? They sell recycled materials to someone to buy so that they can actually reuse it. So I imagine they can just ask the people that won't buy it from them and say, well, what's wrong with this? To what percent? And that's probably where their answer is.
Yeah, and when do you cross the threshold when no one's going to be buying it?
Yeah.
Whoever the buyers are.
Yeah, to give them an idea on how to do it easy.
One thing I do want to ask is like the misconceptions code. So we've had residents calling saying what can be and what can't be. One site says this, one site says this. Gastonia just stopped taking paper. So I would like to have like a list that we can actually publish.
Yeah.
Well, what's Belmont accepting?
Is that on our website or Waste Pro's website? I thought I saw something to the degree of the only recycle these. If it's not on this list, don't recycle.
I just saw it on the Waste Pro trash schedule, their pickup schedule. On the right-hand side, they've got a list of what can be recycled.
I have that magnet.
Yes.
Great
We've got
magnet.
some out here if you want one.
I shamelessly plugged it on our HOA Facebook page.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
We've got some if you want them. But even on that list, it said shredded paper was allowed, and I was told that shredded paper wasn't allowed. So that's why it's like, it's kind of, I want a solid list.
Yes.
What is allowed in Belmont? Because we do have people asking, was like, well, Gastonia does this, Mount Holly does this.
Right.
It's like, well, we need to do, here's what Belmont's gonna do.
Yeah.
Have you considered doing education, just testing out to see whether people would turn up? I mean, it's a great metric gathering too, to see how engaged the community is in wanting to change and wanting to do it right. And I mean, I'm certainly happy to, get involved in something like that, because that's very much my background is,
That would be awesome.
coaching and training and stuff like that, just to see whether people really do want to learn. And then stickers and magnets and things like that are reminders, because people are like, oh, hold on, what did they tell me again? But I always think that person-to-person thing starts to build a movement, because people start getting engaged, and so that's
I wonder
something.
if in the schools of Belmont, they would allow us to come to talk to students. And we could give the students some sort of flyer that they could take home to their parents, but we can teach the kids, this is things, don't recycle this goes in the trash, this goes in the recycle. And then they take it back to their parents and they can advocate for it at home.
Yeah, that's awesome, yeah.
I don't know how receptive the schools would be to that, or how feasible that would be.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Especially like the younger kids, I think, would get excited about that.
Yeah.
Look, Mom, look what I learned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't imagine a whole lot of seniors in high school.
Yeah, you gotta catch them a little bit younger.
I mean, they were very receptive to the Crayola program, so I think they would. I think they'd be all
We should
about
just bundle those together and make it a requirement.
Another thing I was thinking about reaching people when we have these events right in downtown, we could set up a little booth and just have like recycling, ask us questions, or Belmont Garbage, do you have questions? Something like that, just have two people there, you know, excited to talk about
And
that.
they can be giving out some of those stickers if we can get them.
So our concert series is just wrapping up, but we're getting geared back up for, we'll have Earth Day Arbor Day again. The Garibaldi Festival, there's Boo Fest, and then all of the Christmas events as well. So we can kind of just slide our way into those events, and I'm sure they'll give us a table and a tent to kind of just promote.
Good. Sounds like there's something every month.
Oh, yeah.
At least.
Yeah, almost, yeah.
I get kind
That's
of,
great.
my blood boils a little when people are like, there's nothing to do in Belmont. I'm like,
What?
Very close to being true, yeah.
I've seen my Facebook. So yes, there's always an event or something that we can kind of tag onto.
Yeah. I guess another question for waste management is how do we stack up as far as the percentage of people who are actually recycling? You know, I know when I started doing it heavily, years ago, it was like amazing how my trash went down to like one bag, a week, and my recycling bin was overflowing. Do they actually like track that metric too, as far as how do we perform, how do we stack up as far as, other communities, or other cities of a similar size? I mean, I don't know if that's another metric they could, because I don't know if it's just people don't care and are not actually recycling, how much is contamination a problem? If you only have 10% who are actually recycling and there's contamination there, then do we have a larger problem of trying to also get people to actually do more recycling, So just something to ask them at the meeting.
Absolutely.
And you were asking about feedback from people that we know. I know a lot of people don't realize if you don't clean, the items, they get chucked. I knew somebody who worked at a recycling plant, and they were like, if it's not cleaned, that's a big one that people don't realize. And as we said, the bags, a lot of people putting their recycling in a bag and then putting the whole bag in there and not realizing that's not going to work.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuances to it. So, on our website, if we were to have that, easily accessible, and then kind of like a FAQ page to say, so many questions. Do I have to take the plastic out of my tissue box before I put it in there?
Yeah.
Can I recycle pizza boxes? No. Like, do I have to clean out? Yes.
FAQs are very powerful just because it's like,
And on the computer, they're searchable, so you could search for, keyword pizza or something like that.
I would love to see our webpage get a little more dynamic and, and it, to build it out, maybe just to be, as you say, a resource of, FAQs, how do we do this?
That's
how do
something
do
we can
that?
easily do, so does somebody want to take on that responsibility?
Sure do.
Putting together a
I have so many questions. You're like, wow, there's 300 something FAQs
I
here.
can happily copy and paste this onto our website.
I think the issue is I can come up with a bunch of questions. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know where to find the
Yeah.
answer. So I think we're going to have to pose it to Waste Pro and get those
Yeah.
Right.
responses. So.
If we all
Yeah.
come up with a list and send
Yeah.
it to you, because you asked them at the meeting.
Absolutely. If you've got
Okay.
questions, send them my way. I think if you send them to me by Monday, you're probably good, because I don't think that meeting's scheduled for Monday. Right now, the meeting is out in the air. Give us your dates for this week. So if you get things to me by Monday, I can easily bring those.
Yeah, and I think, are all our emails on here?
Yes. And with that, so the list that I've given y'all, I've got 2 copies.
Grace, we're missing you.
What?
Are we?
I don't have
No,
an
I'm
email on
kidding.
there. So, all of our city records are public records, but I just like to share, like, this is the copy for us, and then I have a copy that just has email addresses. But yes, thank you for bringing this up. Please check your information to make sure it's correct. If it's not, we can get it fixed.
So I was going to say, whatever questions you guys have, to email them to me, and I'll compile them into a list. And something I want to say about Waste Pro, I don't know, how much we talk to them, and I know, through the decades, what kind of relationship have people had with their garbage services, and I think it, we need to have a paradigm shift where we have a pretty intimate relationship with them, because, it's a huge problem, it's a huge deal, and to kind of know what they're thinking and what they want, and kind of have like just a working relationship on how to develop is, I think, the way to go. So have them, I tried to contact Waste Pro, and they they sent me to a few people, higher up on the chain, and then I got to like the manager of the facility, and I think he's in Concord or something, and he never got back to me. And I'm like, yeah, he's probably very busy, but being part of the Belmont board where we're actually choosing a waste service, that there'd be more,
Yeah, I also
more attention.
reached out to them on their site, because when I moved to Belmont, I was wanting clarity on some of the recycling stuff, and I couldn't get it, and never got responses from emails.
Yeah, because right now, if you go on their site and type in Belmont, nothing shows up. Whereas you type in other cities, they've got some information, and I'm like, where's our information? What about
Contract
us?
ending soon.
Yeah, right.
What about us?
So I guess that means they default to the cities to handle their own citizens' inquiries and things like that, maybe? I don't know if
Yes,
they do that by
yeah.
design or not.
Maybe I'm just not doing it right, but when people call, I'm like, you need to call Waste Pro because I don't have an
Okay.
answer for you. But yeah, that's kind of how it feels.
Okay.
So we do what we can and kind of whatever they give us, like the magnets and stuff, we give them out as much as we can. But we do get a lot of phone calls, and I just have to say, I don't know, you need to call this number. And where they get from there, I don't know. Maybe they get to the top and call
never
back.
get anything back. So I'll have something to you by Monday.
Okay, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know if they have any educational for people in our sort of position, because as you pointed out, you feel like you need to have a pretty close relationship with them, because if they change something and we're not aware, we're the trickle-down effect here, so I don't know whether they do tours or, educational.
That's what I was looking for, a tour. I was going to grab like Becky and a couple of neighbors, because we were like, I don't know what to freaking recycle anymore, because the rules are always, in flux.
Yeah, that's right. And that kind of stuff makes for good Facebook posts, too, if we're like, going there and looking at the trash or whatever, it's like kind of, okay, it's real, it's in your face, so.
Yeah. That was brought up at the
I
last
would be down for a tour.
So Jamie, I have to ask, there's a video on the website
Yes.
that's kind of anti-recycling. So it's kind of edgy. It's a pretty cool video, actually. Is it affiliated with any of these initiatives?
No, I
or-
think it was a BuzzFeed initiative thing.
Okay.
I can't remember.
That it would be better with energy not to recycle, because of all that's wasted when you, like I said, it's a facade.
Yeah.
Everyone's recycling, and you got this truck picking it up, bringing facility, and then no one's buying it. I hear of these big barges going to, I think it was like Thailand, and Thailand's like, I'm sorry, like this is too contaminated. You guys take it back. We don't want your trash.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So after our first
To make
conversation-
effective recycling, not just make me feel good recycling.
Well, there's the concept of circularity, which is very popular in Europe, where it's changed the mode of thinking around plastic water bottles, for instance, and get everybody to use the same containers. We, in our offices, in my company, we've eliminated paper cups, and we told everybody, you either use a ceramic coffee mug, which we can wash in the dishwasher, or you bring your own container and just reuse that.
Yeah.
And so it's getting away from recycling. It's just changing behaviors around, how you use containers. Now, you can't do that with a lot of food items, naturally, but it's interesting to see some food producers actually wrapping produce in banana leaves and things like that. Have you seen that?
Yeah, and Trader Joe's is supposed to be
So that's
reducing their
interesting.
plastic.
I've now seen 4 packs of beer with cardboard attachments instead of plastic now, which is more recyclable and biodegradable. So,
Yeah, that brings up composting too, like, items that are biodegradable. A lot of confusion about this. People are putting that in the recycling and, and it actually it's, I looked into it, I did a green wedding when we got married, and it has to go to a special facility. Some of those things actually have, the closest one was Columbia or something, South Carolina, to actually be almost like broken down. So that's a whole other area where people feel like they, being green by choosing, compostable type products. But there's a lot of confusion around that. So it's almost, to your point, we've almost got to be one step ahead, what's beyond recycling, because China said they're not going to take the US's recycling any longer. So there's going to be a point where, and that's another good question for waste management, like, where do they see the future of recycling? I mean, do we have to change now, you know,
Right.
to
Yeah.
kind of consider the other options that we should be pushing harder, almost than recycling.
And
I was
speaking,
gonna
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, do we have like a city compost bin or something? Is that something we can invest in? Just don't we have a garden area downtown?
Yeah, I think that would
If
be
we
a
put
really
like
good
a
idea.
compost bin there, like posted something, do we have one?
There is a
have a
garden
garden
area.
area, yeah.
Garden,
there,
and then
yes.
is that, did something to make soil that they used in the garden?
See now,
But we have Keep Belmont Beautiful at that meeting, so I can ask them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might.
Because they help with that garden.
touching on composting, I wonder if we get some sort of a deal or somehow make our own compost kit to help people in Belmont or anywhere. Come here, get your composter. Why put your like corn cobs, your banana peels, your whatever in a plastic bag to save forever and throw away? Instead, compost it in your yard. You know, and then you could bring the compost over to the Belmont garden, you know, if you're looking for some place to put it, or put it in your own garden. You know, yeah. So
That's a
I
good
think an
idea.
educational program is, I feel like it's, I don't know if anyone else agrees, but I do think it's kind of a key part of what we
there's a lot to
could
talk
do.
about too.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah, there
almost
is.
deciding what those topics are and then, you know, figuring out, you know.
We
how
could do
to-
like multiple things on different topics, like recycling, composting.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
educational program, and each month is something different or something.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, yeah, and we have enough people even just within our committee with differing, you know, levels of knowledge that we would be able to do something.
I'm curious what we can do as far as like energy, because a lot of you all have said energy conservation. I'm like, what can we do with it?
Well, there's a
Energy
lot.
right here.
Yeah,
Educate us.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, the one question I ask is, you know, would we benefit by having electric vehicle charging stations in a couple different places in the city?
We do have two.
So there's two down here at,
Jailhouse.
right across from Sammy's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jailhouse, and then
Yep.
isn't there one at the tourist office too?
Oh, is
Yeah,
there?
there is,
Yeah,
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
I don't know how many residents have electric vehicles.
Right.
It's growing.
Yeah, I see a lot
It
of
is
times.
growing.
I've seen a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot of
Just in the past
Teslas, yeah.
month.
So, you know, the one thing I can tell you, we have a transportation group, but the number of electric vehicle models that are coming out over the next 18 to 24 months is going to rapidly expand. And so that's given all of us as consumers greater choices in electric vehicles, many of which are at prices comparable to gas engines now. So that's only going to grow from here.
Yeah.
And, you know, would it make sense for the city to think about planning in a way where we put electric vehicle charging in places where, you know, when there's Friday night movies or whatever?
Yeah.
And that could like encourage people to get electric vehicles too.
Sure.
Because they might think, oh, there's no charging around me, so there's no point. But
That raises another question. Do we have, you know, for the people that have been on the board a while, do we have an identity? Do we have a brand? You know how Gaston did Gaston Outside, and that really elevated the message because, you know, it was recognizable and they branded around it. You know, that's what, when I look at the webpage, it just, I don't see a strong like.
logo.
Yeah, we do have a logo.
It's got a plant, it's got a nice green plant.
Yeah, okay.
If you want to take on giving us a brand and identity.
Is this just for us, like just for our board?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd be,
Because that's different from that brand,
yes.
Right, yeah.
which is the
Yeah.
overall city.
And we have two
Logo.
different ones.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Because this one was too complicated to recreate on the sticker, so we had to like simplify it a little bit. So yes, the
didn't
city
know
as a whole is planning on redoing kind of the whole branding, logoing, and having a true city identity. And I have asked that these kind of be included, like
Okay.
environmental sustainability. But as far as like what we are, that's up to y'all. And I think it'd be really exciting to create it and make this the board that everybody wants to be a part of, because we can have as many volunteers and kind of subcommittees is something we've talked about. We've got a lot of people interested in being on this board that are not technically within our city's limits, so they can't hold a membership spot, but they still want to participate. So I would love to create outlets and ways for them to get involved that aren't just like coming to the meetings and sitting here. What else can we do
Sure.
that engages everybody? Because then it becomes a movement.
Okay. Is that something we should as agenda item? How do we, I'm not sure, not having been on a board before, how do we sort of take some of these ideas we're having, about the education and the identity? Because I agree, making it fashionable, that's how you make people want to do this stuff, is make it something they want to be part of. So how do you do, is that something we table on an agenda?
We can, if we want it to be like a reoccurring agenda item that we always talk about of how we can do it each month, we can just add it every month and it be something we talk about. Or if you want to create a committee out of like a few members, then we can do it that way. It's really up to y'all.
I think it's definitely worth adding to next month's agenda to talk about committee structure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can make this really exciting and eventually fill all these chairs out here. People wanting to get in here, standing room only.
Yes.
Like anyone who wants to help, we want them to be, involved, so.
Better to have more hands.
Well, if we do have like a booth at events for the recycling, if we could take like volunteers for that and have maybe one board member, one volunteer, or even a few more just like walking around and talking to people to help.
Yes, we will definitely do that.
Handing out the magnets or whatever.
So I will put together a list of events. So things that I'm adding for the agenda for next month are going to be the iCompass tutorial, which is how we'll do the paperless agendas. So we won't give out these. So I encourage you to bring a computer, or I'll be able to, put them on these screens. If you don't want to use the screens, bring something else to kind of look off of. The committee structure, and then specifically like education components under that. Is there something else I need to add under the committee structures, or just like an education? Do we want one for recycling, one for energy?
I think eventually.
Eventually. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's something we should do first.
Okay. So I'm just gonna put it.
Or unless, what do you guys think?
We probably need to figure out how it's all going to work.
Yeah.
Before inviting other people and saying, look.
Think about it. I'll just put committee structure just by itself on the agenda for next month, so we can talk about it.
If we do bring our laptops, can we tap into a Wi-Fi?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've actually just got outlets under all these desks.
Oh, really?
Oh, wonderful.
I think,
Okay.
pretty sure, somewhere.
Oh, I see one over here.
Towards the back, so you'll be able to plug in.
These chairs didn't roll.
I'll just say a couple words about the program, the Treasure Tree program, just to catch everyone up. So this was already reduced from like 10 pages. So we tried to make it as short as possible, but when you read it, I think you'll find that a lot of it is important. So this is more like the formal document, and then we did talk about making just a one-page, like quick flyer for people who aren't going to read this entire thing. So, and I think one of the big things that we were focusing on or trying to focus on was how to get people to actually participate. So, as you read through, if you have any ideas, there are some, I think, some pretty good ideas in here already, but, the more the merrier, so.
Who is your primary target audience? Residential, commercial?
Well, we have a section for private properties, so anyone who wants to, and then public. So residents could nominate a public tree as well. So, or even, I guess, just us
We could
nominate
the
some
city
of the nice public trees.
If you want an example of how this is working, we kind of went off of Charlotte. Charlotte has a good treasure tree program.
And I think we used Columbia too, actually, City of Columbia.
Yeah.
Because they had a nice little
there was their good
one-pager,
It's like, simplify it. We're trying.
And this also sounds like something Daniel Stowe could be supporting in some way, whether through promotion or lending their name to it, or...
Yes, and I think it's been a while since we've gone through this, but I think a part of it was, if you do nominate your own tree in your own yard, you could receive maintenance tips from the city on, just proper way to maintain it. So, which, Daniel Stowe, I'm sure the people over there would probably know a lot more than. But yeah.
I'll learn more about that. Starting next month, my wife is going to be volunteering there, so
Oh, awesome.
when she gets past this wedding thing.
have a question.
Yes.
So what you were saying about making things fashionable, right? Like it's sort of like a VIP kind of, I'm green and look at my reusable cup,
Yes.
which is fun, right? Does the city, like, once we go through and if we do decide to redo the logo for the environmental sustainability for Belmont, I'm thinking it would be really cool if we could have like bags or Doug had this great idea. We're neighbors, by the way, so that's why we know each other already. Had this great idea to, bring your reusable containers to the restaurants around Belmont. And I'm thinking if they're branded and they're sort of like, oh, cool, what's that? Like it could start its own movement just because it's fashionable. And I think everyone in Belmont likes to be kind of like in the know. So if you start seeing like stuff with the logo on it, then people might, out of their own pocket, pay for that kind of thing. And we could maybe get some momentum building just on people wanting to look, fashionable.
That's awesome.
Or like reusable shopping bags at Harris Teeter.
Yes, I'm thinking Harris Teeter, you're shopping, you got the bag. At
Reusable
Starbucks,
mugs.
you're using the cup.
And at the local coffee shops.
And they would
Oh,
definitely.
mugshots would eat that up, yeah.
Yes. And if you could just sort of create, pick maybe 2 or 3 items that would be kind of high visibility when they're being used and get word of mouth out there.
And have our brand on there.
Yeah.
And then, like we were saying before, why don't we make it a contest for the schools to come up with a brand? Get them involved with the elementary schools. Ask, elementary schools of certain grades, come up with a logo. And then from those classes, they pick the best ones and then compete. And then, we choose out of 20. And then to get them all thinking about it, making a logo for us.
I like the idea, but don't you think high school?
I was going to say high school might be
Yeah.
better.
A lot of
because
people
then
have gotten more into environmental stuff.
Yeah,
just based on
and a lot of them are good at graphics.
And they can do
Right.
graphic design.
Okay, yeah, our logo would look much better. What is this? Is that?
some people don't really
It's interpretive.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
abstract.
No, that's a great idea. That could be that kind of poster logo
Yeah.
and have some kind of nice prize, associated with it.
Is
And then we
there
can do
a
something
graphic
every
design
couple
class
years.
at some point?
I think they're making one this year, maybe. So,
wish
but if they had art class do it and they draw it and then scan it into the computer or something, because some people can draw really well at our school. Which
And
is,
I'm a graphic designer. I have all the programs, so I could
Oh, wow.
easily, take whatever we're given, and if it's not in a format like a vector file that we can use for whatever,
We can
I can
make it,
make
yeah.
it that.
Well,
or even
that's
just
right.
take an idea an elementary schooler had and make it not
Yeah.
crayons.
Actually, it could be across the board, you're right,
Yeah.
because
We
we
can make
talk
it.
about different ages, we're talking about getting the elementary school kids, so something that talks to them that's more like their age level, and, so yeah, I think that would be
So
good.
Belmont has one high school, one middle school,
An
multiple,
elementary school and a primary school.
an elementary and a primary.
There's
Okay,
more.
thanks.
How many elementary
There's
schools
two
are there
elementary
now?
schools?
2, yeah.
2 elementary.
There's
Is
North
it-
Belmont, Belmont Central.
Oh,
And then
okay.
is New Hope.
And then Catawba is
New
that
Hope
Mount
is- I don't
Holly?
know.
Is it like Cramerton?
Yeah, I don't know if all of the Belmont students go to New Hope though. Yeah, I don't know.
That may
Bremerton
be-
is in
that may
Belmont,
be
but
outside the
serves
city
other
limits.
towns?
City
It's
limits.
so weird.
Okay.
Because where I live would be Stuart Kramer,
Yeah,
and then Catawba Heights Elementary School, which I think is
yeah.
Mount Holly.
We could open it up to all schools. I mean, we
Yeah.
did that trash truck art contest, but limited it to the Belmont schools. Yeah. So it's totally up to y'all. We have all the stuff that we need to do for an art contest, so we can just change it up. ESB is seeking a logo, help us out.
I don't care where you live.
Yeah. You can design, we need it.
Speaking of which, do we have a budget or anything? Have to fundraise.
So,
Good question.
we actually got really lucky with, the trash truck art contest. There was no cost to it because it was 100% sponsored by Gas and Printing and Signs. They did the artwork of transferring everything into vectors and creating the vinyls that went on the trash truck. So a lot of it is kind of stuff we get creative with. seek sponsorships. There's not like a set budget. The only thing I think we really did budget for is like B-City, because it's an annual membership fee. But with the Crayola thing, what we did last year is we wrote a proposal from this organization, or from this board, and then that got approved, and we just used the planning department to kind of go through. So there's ways to do things, we just have to kind of do the proposals and.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the same thing, some of these other ideas with, the water containers, the grocery bags. You know, if we don't go too commercial, we could get Harris Teeter or someone to sponsor grocery bags, for instance, perhaps.
Yeah.
And defray some of the costs. I have to admit, I've got 2 in the trunk of my car, but I always forget to take them inside the grocery store.
Yes, that is, it's gotta be sitting like right next to you.
Yes, exactly.
So maybe another audience for us to think about is the Montrose Chamber. You know,
Yes.
Getting, as you said, that was a good fit, getting the printer involved, engaged, looking at what businesses we have there and how we could try to create partnerships for them to up their image too, because
Yes.
it makes them look good if they're involved. So that's another quote.
Well, I'm very excited with all these ideas, everyone. This is exciting.
Yeah, I agree.
Now for the easy part, putting them in motion.
Yes, right?
Exactly.
So I've got a full page of stuff to ask Waste Pro. So we've kind of got, everybody's got their own little thing task-wise. If you want a task, I'll be happy to give you one. If you would
Thanks for
like,
taking notes.
Yes, and so minutes, I'll get the minutes out. They're due usually like the week before city council meetings. So I'll get them to you within the next week or so. But yeah, if y'all have any questions moving forward, please feel free to email me. If you call, I'll make it. We kind of revolve at the front desk, so we don't always get who we need to talk to. But yeah, our meeting schedule, everybody has a copy of it. I want to say it was last year we went for a meeting like every other month to monthly, because we started realizing that there was a lot more like need to meet. I spoke with Cassidy earlier today, who is our special events coordinator. We'll probably start talking about Arbor Day, Earth Day Festival again around September, October. So this is an annual event. We usually switch off with Cramerton. But I think this year the city wants it to kind of just be, we always have a celebration every year. And we're going to need to do one anyways for the B-City USA. Why not do Earth Day, Arbor Day, B-City, celebrate all things in one big festival. So I'll invite her to one of our fall meetings to kind of start talking about this group's involvement and what we want that event to look like for next year. Okay. Sounds good. Any questions before we adjourn? You all feel good, confident?
Yeah.
Yep.
Feel good.
Got our tasks, I'm excited. All right.
Nice to have a lot of new energy.
All right, so
Adjourn.
Yep.
Thank you.
Second to adjourn.
You worked at Adams.
So there's nothing that's actually.
I know.
It's April.
I